Okay, you need to understand there are certain experiences that we need to gain before we move into another. So meron mga requirement. Katulad niya ng sinabi natin kanina, sa bata lang, physically, bago siya matutong gumapang, dapat matutong muna siyang dumapa. At bago siya matutong maglakad, dapat matutong muna siyang tumayo. How to stand before walking. These are prerequisite skills. Again, that's the next principle. Development takes place gradually. Okay, the fourth. Development as a process is complex because it is a product of biological, cognitive, and social-emotional processes. Siguro hindi na masyadong kailangang ipaliwanag to. Okay? When say biological, it's physical. Cognitive, your mind. Okay? Your way of thinking. Social-emotional, your way of reacting to your society, to your environment. Ang bata, kapag hindi pa handa na matuto, kahit ipilit mo, mag-iiyak yan at magpapalabas ng classroom. So, social-emotional process, social-emotional aspect, hindi pa siya handa. Pero cognitively, kaya na ng utak niya. Biologically, nasa tamang edad na siya. Physically healthy, pero social-emotionally, hindi pa siya ready. Will development take place? That's the question, Ms. Manansala, Ashley.
Yes, sir.
Will development take place if one of these aspects, biological, cognitive, social-emotional, is not yet ready?
Process po ng...
Kunyari,
po.
ang isang grade 7-year-old child, so biologically, healthy naman siya. Cognitively, normal naman siya mag-isip. Okay, nasa tamang edad na siya. So, ready na siya. Pero, yung damdamin niya, ayun yung pumasok na ganawa. Matututo ba? Will there be development kung dalawang aspect lang ang ready?
Hindi po, sir.
Okay, so lesson here, all of these three aspects must work together for development to take place. Katulad nga ng sinabi ni Ms. Buwan kanina, kahit gusto mong biologically maging fit ka, kung cognitively, yung paraan ng pag-iisip mo, yung paraan ng pag-respond mo sa mga bagay-bagay, hindi ganun ka-healthy, it will not happen. O kaya, you want to learn cognitive yan, cognitive aspect. Pero yung biological aspect hindi ready. May sakit ka, will you develop? No. Okay? Kaya nga yung people with disability, meron silang limitations. Diba? Either biologically or cognitively or emotionally. But for common learners, all of these three aspects must be ready, must be considered before teaching them, bago sila turuan. So bago ka tumayo dyan sa harap, tignan mo, biologically, okay ba siya? Kumain ba siya? Baka naman gutom. At pag gutom ang isang tao, kahit anong iharap mo dyan, hindi niya mag-grasp. They will not grasp. They will not understand. Okay? Do you agree with me, Ms. Almazan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nasubukan mo na bang mag-review ng gutom, Ms. Almazan?
Opo, sir.
Pumapasok ba?
Hindi po.
Hindi ganun kabuo, di ba? Pag gutom, unahin mo munang i-address yung chan mo bago pumasok yung comprehension sa isip mo. Ang hirap kasi to balance between hunger and the physical need, physiological need, and the cognitive needs. So kahit magpuyat si Miss Almazan, mag-memorize na memorize chat, if biologically she is not ready, cognitive development will not happen. Okay, thank you, Ms. Almazan. So it means, I repeat, I'd like to emphasize na bago magturo, these three aspects must work together. Check mo yung tatlong yan. Sir, nung 50 kong learner, check ko kanya. Metong. Through observation, kaya nang i-check yan. Makikita naman sa mata, di ba, kung sino yung nung mukhang nag-almusal na, hindi pa nag-almusal, cognitively ready na, sa appearance, minsan kita niyan. O kaya pag nagsalita na sila, you would identify these things. Kaya nga, pagpasok ni teacher, gigreet muna, and then you will look around, look at your students, decide if they are ready for the development you prepared for them. Okay? O, emotional. Yung emotional, for instance, may dadalda at yung mipapate, tuturo ka, February, wala akong pakialam turo ko, diyang mipate ko, okay? They are not emotionally ready. They are fighting. Okay? Aliwang development in skills king kay boxing nga made-develop kay bating lesson mo ESP na values education. Okay, next. two approaches to human development. First, minta na naman yung Zoom. Okay. First, we have the traditional approach. Second, we have the lifespan approach. Now, how do we differentiate the two? Pag sinabing traditional approach, you think that development stops. Okay? That development slightly changes when you reach old age. Yun ang traditional approach. Pag ang tingin mo sa human development, na kapag tumatanda, nagbabago yung development, yung pacing, na wala ng development, meron kang view ganyan, your view is the traditional approach. But if you are using the lifespan approach to human development, you believe that development continues. Okay? We are not saying here that the traditional approach is not good. We are not saying that the lifespan approach is better than the traditional approach. No. There are certain situations in which you need to be traditional, and there are certain situations in which you need to be using the lifespan approach. For example, ang isang bata na sumuko na sa pag-aaral dahil iniisip niya na wala siyang matututunan at pinamukas sa kanya na magulang niya na bobo siya. What approach is better? Which approach should be used? Traditional approach or lifespan approach? Sinabi niya, sir, kasi matuwa na ako po, diyan turuyo ko mamasa, magkasakit na ako na po abalo yan. Ikaw ngayon ang teacher, which approach are you going to use? Traditional or lifespan? Yes.
Traditional.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Yun itong nag-volunteer ito.
Ako po, Tricia Baol.
Okay, Miss Bao. Thank you for responding. We will use traditional. So, sasabihin mo sa kanya, Miss Baol, matwana ka, tok nang nakantiyan talaga. Tanang kamili.
Lifespan.
Okay.
Lifespan po.
Thank you for changing your answer. Kasi kung hindi mo binagong sagot mo, Miss Baol, katapusan mo na. Joke. We will use the lifespan approach, making that learner believe that development continues despite the age. Nakaya pa yan. High school ka. Okay? Kahit matanda ka na, 21 ka na, may chance ka pa rin matutong magbasa. Okay? Kaya lang, yung approach na gamitin mo kasi matanda na siya, iba na. Kumpara dun sa approach na tinuturuan mong grade 1 na matutong magbasa. Okay? It will be a different approach considering the age of the learner. Okay? Let's say for instance naman, matanda, 63 years old. Let's say kunyari, nagkaroon ka ng estudyanteng gano'n, learner na gano'n, grade 6, Gisaya Makiabing cheer dance. Miss Almazan, payagan niya?
Hindi,
Buri natin lifting. Ganyan pa, migdalagaya po kunyari, 60 plus. Payagan niya, Miss Almazan?
Hindi po, sir.
No. So anong approach ang ginagamit mo doon? Traditional or lifespan? Traditional approach. Very good. So, naintindihan na ang traditional and lifespan. Sa mga hindi nakakaintindi, intindihin nyo. Okay? No, if you have questions, raise your hand. Unmute your microphone. Okay. Stages of development and developmental tasks by Sandra. Okay. According to Sandra, ito ang 8 stages of development ng tao. Okay? Una yung prenatal, followed by infancy. Then we have early childhood, middle and late childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. Ira, nasan ka na dyan? Which stage are you in?
Ako po, sir.
Yes, Miss Ira.
Early adulthood.
Saan ka na dyan?
Early
adulthood. So, as an early adult, Ira, what traits do you have? Ano yung mga nabago compared nung nasa teenage years ka pa? Meron na ba nabago?
Opo, siguro. Kasi po dati, dapat yung mga tao sa paligid ko sa akin nang nakafocus, gano'n. Pero ngayon, naiintindihan ko na
Mas nag-mature ka?
every people, pa?
Mas nag-mature ka?
Parang masasabi ko na ang toxic ko nung mga dating.
Okay, well, that's normal. That's part of development.
Pero ngayon po,
okay, mas naging open-minded ka sa mga bagay-bagay sa mundo. Kasi nga, you are turning an adult. Okay, bukod dyan, physically, siguro as part of the early adulthood, yung growth, 'di ba? It's either pakonti-konti na lang yung pagtangkad mo or huminto na doon or mag-decline or it stops there. And then napapansin niyo increase ng weight habang tumatanda, 'di ba? Tignan niyo yung mga daddy na nasa 30 to 60 years old, ang lumalaki sa kanila tiyan. Ang mga nanay na nasa 30 to 60 years old, palapad lang eh. Pakanyat. Okay? Pero nung nasa teenage years ka, kahit anong kainin mo, nung bata ka, kahit anong kainin mo, bakit ang tagal mong tumaba? Okay? These are common traits that you need to understand, common features that you need to understand as part of becoming a teacher because we need to start from our learners. Okay? So let's have this one by one. Prenatal. Siyempre, yung prenatal, tangchuya packing at siyan. Okay? Responsible for the development of during the prenatal period is the mother. Kasi siya yung nagna-nourish dun sa bata. Okay? Kaya pa maka-enrolling fetus sa makanyang king school. Ne? Ala pang makanta. At tinabang may enroll It's very impossible. Wala pang nag-enroll na prenatal. So it's not our concern. But I'd like you to understand that during the prenatal period, development happens inside the womb. Meron na ba sa science ngayon na nasa outside ng womb and development? Meron no, yung anong tawag doon? Yung mga test tube baby. Pero, pabalik din sa womb, right? If you have heard about test tube babies. So, if fertilize yung egg cell and sperm cell sa laboratory and then i-inject din sa womb ng isang babae. So that's possible now. But then again, for prenatal, nourishment, development happens inside the womb. Next, infancy. Okay, meron na mga eskwelahan na tumatanggap ng ganitong edad. So, hindi naman yung one year old, no? Yung nasa 2 years old na, baka may chinututor kayo ganyan. It's possible. So, during infancy, ano ang common trait? Ayan. Are they dependent or independent? Ms. Chavez.
Dependent.
Dependent. Okay? Lahat yan ng pangangailangan nila nandun sa, it should be with parental assistance, guidance of an adult. Hindi siya makakain kung wala yung magulang. So that's for infancy. That's a common trait. And then, exploratory stage din tong mga to. Nila sila nagtututong magbabol, magsalita, okay, ng paisa-isang salita pero hindi pa buo yung sentence. Pansinin niyo yung mga pamangkin niyo or pinsan niyo. Okay, that's how they do it. Next, early childhood. Ito, school age na, preschool. O nung kinder kayo, can you share something about your kindergarten years? Ano kayo nung kindergarten kayo? Mr. Sanggalang.
Yes, sir.
Can you share something about your kindergarten years? How do you describe yourself during your kindergarten years?
Medyo makulit po yung
Meron ka na bang mga kaibigan noon?
Opo, yung
May mga kalaro.
Tuto na po makisama. Yun.
Okay. Pero yung pakikisama is for the purpose of playing pa lang. That's during preschool. Kasi yung type of friendship that we have during teenage years, dyan nag-umpisa yung may value, di ba? Yung gawa-gawa kong lagyunan ng grupo yung. Pero nung kinder, wala pang mga ganyan na mga paggagawa kayo ng pangalan, no? It's about play. Everything is about play. You socialize and then you explore. That's the starting point dominantly of learning in school formally. Okay, 3 to 5 years old. Ano pa? Ito yung mga panahon na magngangawa ka hanggat di mo nakukuha yung gusto mo. Especially when it comes to toys, especially when going anywhere with your mother or with your father. So, ito yung mga years na to. Okay? Next. Middle and late childhood, that's 6 to 12 years, elementary years. At usually, dominantly, or mostly, majority ng nandito, I think, elementary education ang kinukuha. So, ano meron during elementary education? Diyan yung nag-umpisa yung infatuation. Okay? Diyan ka na nagkakaroon ng konsepto ng study habit. Okay, let's resume. So we stopped here in middle and late childhood. Again, the elementary years. So common trait here. Again, this is still exploratory, but at this point, a learner or a child is already starting to develop the sense of responsibility. Dito na siya pwedeng turuan ng mga bagay-bagay like household chores, tasks in school, okay? So little by little, you could teach these learners at this age about the sense of responsibility. Okay, next. Okay, the adolescence years or the adolescent years. That's from 13 to 18 years old, teenage years. So dito yung searching for relationships. Okay, ano si relationships? Andyan yung it's either friendship or something intimate. Okay, the exploratory years again, thinking about belonging to a group. Ayan. And in terms of growth, dito na nagiging visible yung mga bagay-bagay, yung dadalaga at yung nagbibinata. Okay? Kaya nga dito, pag nasa high school na, sinasabi, yung mga laro-larong Chinese garter, dalaga ka na, binata ka. So taking the role of a teenager. Okay? Starting to take their in preparation for adulthood. Okay, that's the adolescence years. Okay, for early adulthood, that's from 19 to 29 years. Ang focus dito is about career or career-oriented, talking about your life dreams, working for your dreams. Yan ang common orientation or common attribute for people in early adulthood. They are career-oriented. It's either nag-aaral in college or working to have a stable job, working to have a professional degree. Next, middle adulthood, 30 to 60 years. Ano naman ang meron dito? It's about having a stable job. It's about establishing your name, okay, and building yourself as a working person. That's middle adulthood. Wala naman tayo sigurong, well, if you will be teaching in college, ayan, you will experience having learners under middle adulthood. So if in case one of you or some of you will decide to move to college, at least you would know how to approach these people. Hindi pwede ang treatment mo sa early childhood pareho sa middle adulthood. Though at some point, pag nagbibiruan, pwede, no? Like you do baby talk, okay, to make the session alive, okay, iisip bata kayo, but you know to yourself that you are doing that. Okay, for fun or to make the interaction alive. It's intended for a purpose. But make sure yung mga learners na nasa ganitong edad, they are already sensitive. They have ito yung type of learning na hindi na kailangan ng masyadong maraming memorization. Unlike yung nasa elementary, ang daming kailangang impamemorize sa bata. So ang mga tipo ng learners na ganito, it's about reasoning. Ayan. Madalas na pinapagawa na activity, it's about reasoning, justification. It's about making decisions. Kasi yun yung akta dun sa edad nila. Okay, middle adulthood. Next, late adulthood, that's 61 years and above. Ito na yung senior citizen age. And again, pag senior citizen age, ang consideration natin dito is the physical aspect. Meron daw physical limitation. So if in case you will be meeting a student or a learner in late adulthood, the first thing you need to consider is the physical aspect or the physical limitations of the person. Okay, let us deepen our understanding. So on your screen, you will see Erickson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. So in here, on the first column, ito yung mga bagay-bagay na tumatakbo sa isip daw. Okay? Or yung critical issues, okay, on each stages. Okay? Then sa kabilang side are the stages. Let's say for instance, for infant, ang issue nila is trust versus mistrust. How does it occur? Paano nangyayari yun? Kunwari na lang sa mga magulang. Pag alam nila, nakikita nila sa bahay na lagi nilang kasama, okay, they are with that person at home, lagi nilang kalaro, nabibuild yung trust. Pero pag may dumating na bisita na hindi nila kilala, magdududa muna sila, hindi sila agad sasama. But there are child na madaling magtiwala. So it's a battle, a conflict between trust and mistrust. Next, toddler. That's 18 months to 3 years. It's autonomy versus shame and doubt. Okay, what do we mean by that? Miss Santiago? Julie?
Sa toddler,
Yeah.
autonomy versus shame or doubt. Pag sa, ano po, kinikilala mo na kung sino yung sasamahan niya na yon, or i-accept ba niya o hindi.
Okay, that's shame and doubt. What about for autonomy? What do we mean by the autonomy? Yes, Miss Cobaco.
Yung autonomy, may sarili siya.
Yan na yung point na nagkakaroon na siya ng sariling
magtitiwala ka, sir.
Okay. Yung gusto niya, siya ning gumagawa. Kahit alam ng magulang na hindi niya kayang gawin, magpupumilit. Diba? Yung mga bagay-bagay na-explore na niya. That's 18 months to 3 years of age. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Next, preschooler. Initiative versus guilt. Susunod ba ako o hindi? Gagawin ko ba to?
Kusa.
Ayan, nabubuo na yung guilt feeling nila. Na kapag hindi sila nakagawa ng assignment, alam nila magagalit sa teacher. Kaya nga ito yung mga bata na pag nag-aaral na sila, nag-umpisa na nag-aaral, may tinuro si teacher, at kahit na mali ang tinuro ni teacher, pag tinuruan ng magulang, the parent would correct, they will not believe because they believe the teacher. Sabi ni teacher ko ganito, mali yan, mali yan. Kahit na tama yung magulang. So be careful with that. Okay? Be careful. So anong lesson doon? What you teach, when you teach, be sure that you are accurate, lalo na sa mga bata, kasi paniniwalaan nila. They are dependent on you. You are the figure of education for these learners. Na pag school teacher ang authority, at pag hindi sila sumunod, magigilty sila. Kahit magulang pa nila yung nagsabi. Okay? Matatakot sila na hindi sumunod. Okay. Yung initiative, andun din sa preschool years, makikita mo yung mga bata na nangunguna na, nagli-lead sa mga activities. Next, grade schooler, industry versus inferiority. Ayan yung naglalabasan ng mga masipa. Laban kung magsisipag ba ako o tatama rin. Kasi experience ko na yung school, naranasan ko na yung eskwelahan ngayon, sisipagan ko ba o hindi. Ayan, grade schooler. So, as a teacher, what's your work? Motivate them to work. Motivate them to become industrious. Dahil kung tamad ang teacher, inferior ang teaching style ni teacher, mas inferior ang magiging resulta. You are producing inferior individuals. So again, it starts with your strategy. Next, teenage year, identity versus role confusion. Andiyan yung nagkakahiyaan. Hindi na pwedeng nung elementary, yung approach mo, pag kinocall mo yung attention nila nung elementary, ganun pa rin pagdating ng high school, mapapahiya na sila. Andiyan na yung makakakita ka na ng mga umiirap, pag pinapagalitan mo, ayaw nila na napapahiya. So again, yung tinatawag na reverse psychology. Understand first the personality of your learner, lalo na pag teenage years, and then doon mo siya i-approach. Pag ayaw niya na napapahiya, edi use one-on-one conference. Baka naman kinocall mo yung attention sa harapan ng crush niya, ng mga kaibigan niya, at napapahiya siya. Okay? So again, identity versus role confusion. Kasi meron na silang role, meron na silang sariling identity at this point, pinapangalagaan na nila yon. Unlike nung bata ka pa, grade schooler, wala pang mga identity ganyan. Kaya kahit anong gawin nila nung bata, magngangawa, nung preschooler sila, umiyak at gusto na nilang umuwi kahit hindi pa oras, wala silang pakialam, iiyak at iiyak sila. At hindi ang gagawin ng isang teenager sa isang eskwelahan, kang mga gaya, pauhuli yan na bisang mag-aral. No, kasi meron na silang identity. Okay, next. For young adult learners, intimacy versus isolation. Ayan, about relationships. Okay, serious relationships. Yan yung nililook forward nila. Next, middle-aged adult. Ayan. Generativity versus stagnation. Ito na yung papatanda ka. Magiging productive ka pa ba o eto ka na lang? Oy, may mga teachers na ganyan, ha? Yung dahil sa old age na sila, ayaw na nilang mag-grow. Matuwa na ako, yun na yan. Ayan, nakita yung battle between growing or generating, becoming productive, or staying with what you have. Mananatili na ba ako sa natutunan ko? Matanda na rin naman na ako. O gusto ko pong mag-grow kahit na matanda na ako. Okay, pansinin niyo yung mga magulang niya. For 40 to 65. Ayan ang madalas na battle nila. Will I be productive or will I stay with the skills I have? Kaya nga sinasabi nila pag matanda na daw, especially nasa older age, senior citizen na, gusto nilang nagtatrabaho kahit matanda na sila sa bahay. Huwag mo daw pagbawalan. Kasi they find themselves productive in that way. Doon nila nahanap yung sense nila as a person. So, ayaw nilang manatili na walang, futile or useless. Next, older adult, integrity versus despair. Okay, when say integrity versus despair, ito na yung, sino bang madalas na nagbabawal, let's say for instance, sa pananamit, di ba, ang mga lolo at lola natin, sa pagsasalita, ayan, napaka-conservative nila. They protect their names. Okay? They protect their names and their integrity as an established person. Okay? That's Erickson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. So, yan ang mga nararanasan, nararamdaman ng isang tao sa kapaligiran niya. That's how we respond. It's either you give trust or mistrust during infancy. Toddler, autonomy, ako gagawin ko ba? Or magda-doubt ako kung gagawin ko. Okay, for preschool, will I have the initiative or mag-guilty na lang ako kahit huwag ko nang sundin? Okay? For grade schooler, industry versus inferiority. Magsisipag ba ako? Tama rin na lang ako. Teenage years, identity versus role confusion. Ayan, hinahanap mo na yung sarili mo. Sino ba ako? What do I want? Ayan, may mga tanong na ganyan. For young adult, intimacy versus isolation. Will I be in a relationship or not? Will I gain friends or not? Okay? Makikipagkaibigan ba ako o hindi? Gusto ko ba siya o hindi? These are questions. For middle-aged adult, it's a battle between becoming productive or staying with the skills that you have. Kasi iniisip mo, matanda ka na. Okay? Mag-grow pa ba ako o hindi? For older adult, it's a battle between integrity and despair. Okay. Developmental task by Havingers. Our last topic. Okay. Nakikita niyo ba on your screen o masyadong maliit? Anyway, pag na-download
Maliit
ito,
po,
kanya
sir.
naman i-zoom. And you can search this in the internet. Okay? I'll just read it for you. During infancy, sabi dito, ang mga natututunan, these are the developmental tasks. Learning to walk. Siyempre naman, meron pa bang sa inyo ang natututong maglakad pa lang ngayon sa mga oras na to? Wala naman. At yung pamangulabe, kaya kayo itong tatalan king side para maglakad. Ala, nabiyasa ka na maglakad, di ba? Next, learning to take solid foods. Ayan, infancy. Learning to talk, learning to control the elimination of body wastes. 0 to 5, according to Havingers. Iba-iba kasi ang perspective ng developmental task, depende kung sino ang proponent. So, para kay Havingers, infancy and early childhood, that's from 0 to 5. Ayan, kaya nang i-control yung body waste. Pero during infancy, I think until 1 year old, mahirapan pa sila i-control yung production ng waste nila, body waste. Diba? Yung pag-ihi at pagpupo. Dahil lagi pang dinadiaper yung mga yan. Umiihi pa sa higaan. Correct? Miss Kubako? Meron ko na bang 1 year old na pinsan na nagpaalam sa iyo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 8 months, sabihan, Miko po. Ali naman, di ba? So, automatic, dispose na yan. Alam yung pakialam dyan, no ka rin niya makera or kikilikan niya. Okay, alam yung pakialam. Dapat control yan. But, during preschool age, dapat tinuturuan na sila kung paano gamitin ang toilet. Yapin yung papakarina nila, di ba? Pag elementary, dapat controlling bagay-bagay makanya. Lalo na nung adult na lang. Balo yan, is mag control, kay elimination of waste, di ba? Anong kasakit? Itang pigil-pigilan mo, mag-control ka, kasi balo mo pwedeng iluwal kasi adakal, tao. Anto ka pang malagong CR. O kaya, muli ka, tiisan mo king jeep na itang mamamag-concentrate ka, may papawas ka. Lalo na kay batatso ka pa king dulo ng jeep, alug-alugya pa, it's challenging. At alam mo sa sarili mo na hindi mo pwedeng gawin in public. That's why you are controlling. Pero sa mga bata, ayan, they're starting to learn how to control. Starting to learn. And there are instances, asahan nyo sa elementary, grade 1, grade 2, may napupups pa. Because they are just starting to learn how to control this. Huwag nyo silang ipahiya sa mga bagay na gano'n. Paraanan nyo. What to do pag may napups na bata sa klase nyo. Kapag outside activity, parang aliwa. Okay, class, let's go outside. We will have an activity outside. Do you want to have a game? Paksabihan may kang titang metong teacher na may nga pupuya kasi tang metong pero walang ko pa. Paki-assist na pare. Ipapamyaluan mo lakin. Abang lilinisan ka. Pag okay na, doon mo pabalikin. Huwag yung, ay Pedro, may nga patakla yun. Ginulisak mo kingarap na ng klase. My God. Lungob yan. Duminen. Next, learning sex differences and sexual modesty. Ayan, meron na silang separation ng girls and boys. Group ng girls, group ng boys. Alam na nilang i-separate yung sarili nila. I-classify. Acquiring concepts and language to describe social and physical reality, but not too perfect. And like when you are in the adult age, you would know how to reason using sentences. But during these years, infancy and early childhood, process pa lang, phrases pa lang yung nabubuo mo, or sentences. Do not expect a 5-year-old child to deliver a declamation piece. A lengthy declamation piece. Hindi pa nila kaya. Readiness for reading. Ayan. Another, learning to distinguish right and wrong and developing a conscience. Ayan. So that's a starting point. Kaya ang sinasabi nila sa mga elementary yung pundasyon, lalo na sa bahay. Especially when it comes to values, di ba? Na kapag kinalakihan na nila at nasa high school na, college na, mahirap nang supilin. Okay? That's actually a belief that I also stand for. So, bilang elementary teachers, future elementary teachers yung mga nandyan, it's a challenge on your part. Next, middle childhood, learning physical skills necessary for ordinary games, building a wholesome attitude toward oneself, learning to get along with age mates. Ayan, di na masyadong nakikipag-away, alam na nila yung nakakahiya. Learning an appropriate sex role, yung pagsusuot ng damit, alam na nila. Unlike nung nasa infancy and early childhood, kung anong pinasuot ng magulang, wala silang pakialam. But between 6 to 12, from 6 to 12, eto na yung pinipili na nila yung sinusuot nila. Na kahit ipilit ni nanay, ni tatay ito, pag ayaw niyang isuot, nagre-reklamo na sila minsan. Okay? Developing concepts necessary for everyday living, developing conscience, morality, and a scale of values, achieving personal independence, developing acceptable attitudes toward society. That's for middle childhood. Adolescence, iniisa-isa lang natin yung diniscuss natin kanita using this perspective of Havigers. Achieving mature relations with both sexes. Okay? Achieving a masculine or feminine social role. Pamuse, pa-escort, boyfriend, girlfriend, gender, knowing about their gender, about themselves, okay? Knowing their identity, accepting one's physique. Ayan, yun na, medyo conscious ka na sa itsura mo. Mamamolbo na ka, Ken. Ayan yung mga panahon na nag-aayos ka na, medyo conscious ka na, ayaw mo na ng oily face. Miley Julia, gagana ka ng teenage years. No, Miss Julie Santiago. Naranasan mo, Miss Julie Santiago, yung maging conscious sa itsura nung teenage years?
Yes, sir.
Oo naman, no?
Actually, sir, na-experience ko ngayon sa mga anak ko. Kasi teenage years.
Pero ngayon,
sila.
as a mother, Miss Julie, kumpara nung teenage ka, di ba nabawasan yung pagiging conscious mo sa sarili mo?
Yes.
Di ba yung pag-aayos? Okay,
na.
correct, exactly. Yun nga yung sinasabi natin. You need to understand your learners depending on the stage they are in. Kasi nababago tayo based on our stage, based on our steps in our development. Depende kung saan stage na tayo. Kaya nga naman, sinasabi ko sa inyo, consider your learners as unique people. Do not consider them as a group. Ay isa lang approach yung gagamitin mo sa kanila kasi may kanya-kanyang stages yan ng development. Hindi porket 18 ka, baka naman yung stage ng develop mo ay hindi na pang adolescent, pwede na nasa pang adult ka na. That's possible. Okay? It's not about the age. It's about your pace, your own pace as a person. Meron yung mga bata na ang tandang mag-isip, ang tandang kumilos. At meron naman mga adult na teenager mag-isip. Okay? So again, it's not about,
Bata.
this is commonly, ganyan tayo sa edad natin, generally accepted. But there are instances na yung age natin does not match with the stage we are in. That's possible. Okay? Next. Early adulthood, selecting a mate, ayun yung pag-aasawa, learning to live with a partner, starting a family, at ano yung pinaproblema, rearing children, managing a home, starting an occupation, about job, assuming civic responsibility. That's for early adulthood, 19 to 29. Middle adulthood, 30 to 60. Anong mga developmental tasks niya? Helping teenage children to become, Miss Julie Santiago, if you don't mind, how old are you? Ilang taon na po kayo?
34, sir.
So nandito ka sa middle
34 po.
adulthood. Kaya nga sinabi mo kanina na ang concern mo sa mga anak mo, ayan. Kasi isa sa developmental task as part of middle adulthood is to help teenage children to become happy and responsible adults. Tinuturuan na sila. Kaya nga pag si Miss Julie, for instance, nakisabay siya sa kalokohan ng mga anak niya at kinonsente siya, papagilitan siya ng asawa niya o ng magulang niya. Katwa mo, pati ka, makyabe, makanyang sabyenda, di ba? Because yan ang ini-expect sa'yo. You need to help them to become responsible. Okay? Next, achieving adult and social and civic responsibility. Nagiging nanay na, mayroon ka ng role sa community, na kapag sinabing piyesta, lutuan, ito ang yun ang identity mo. Kaya ka na sa mga bagay na yun. Satisfactory career achievement, developing adult leisure time, mga achievements sa mga bahay-bahay. No? Developing adult leisure time activities. Yung mga pang-matuwang leisure time. Nakarugong, syempre, nakamamyalong Chinese garter na. Matuwa na ka, 30 to 60 years old. Kaya nga nilagay dyan, developing adult leisure time. Bala mo naman, imagine na namin Ma'am Junie Santiago, mamyalong yapang pikune. Aliwan na isipan nila lakda. Yung aliwang establishment na nadala ni Miss Julie. So, iba na yun. So, yung pang leisure time natin, ano bang leisure time na pang middle adulthood? Yung gumagamit ng isip. Yung, ayan, dang siping yung bala, kakitsure yung madalas magkwaho. Cards. Ano pa? Reading. Ayan, reading the Bible, religious activities, social activities. Yung may mga katsikahan na mga kumare, kumpadre. Ayan. Next, relating to one's spouse as a person. You know, spouse. So, asawa mo, it's like considering that person as your confidant. Lahat ng problema, ng bagay-bagay, pinag-uusapan nyo maturely. Accepting the physiological changes of middle age. Ayan. Pero marami na hindi pa tanggap yung physiological change nila. Nagpapabata, which is good naman. Lalo na pag teacher, by the way, ha? Huwag kayong magmumukhang matanda. Okay? Never let your learners imagine na ang itsura nyo ay parang yung lahat na ng libro memorize, mas stress na stress ang itsura mo. Ay, lumano rin teachers mga. Pag naging teacher na kayo, ay nausuitang tayong na makabat ang sasabit sa kene, at yung naman tutuklip na, kabit na yung kilo. Nakarugo magtutong kuda pa yung. Another, nung manuli kang obre, mo narurugo kabit king SM Eco Bag, at yung pang Robinson's Eco Bag, itang sako, itang balon-balon teacher ka. Mag-level up tayo ng bagya. At yung laptop, pwede naman isignan ken. Okay, kaya kung may kailangan dalhin, huwag naman yung well, hindi ko sinasabi na masama gumamit ng, ano ba yung tawag yun, mga pinamimigay. Pero huwag naman yung sobrang dami, nagmumukha kang stress na teacher, no? Though, again, at this age, tinatanggap na natin yung mga pagbabago na gaganap sa katawan natin. Unlike nung early adulthood, talaga naman aldoldo in parlor, paayos, pakulay ng buhok. But at this age, middle adulthood, may acceptance ka na. Alam mo na puputi talaga yung buhok mo. Tanggap mo na. Okay, next. Adjusting to aging parent. Aging parent. Sa mga nanay at tatay mo, kaya mo na mag-adjust. Unlike before, patola, sinasagot mo yung mga nanay at tatay mo talagang pag may katwirang ka, pinaglalaban mo. But at this point, yung mga magulang mo, senior citizen na, and you are in middle adulthood, naiintindihan mo na kung bakit sila gano'n at hindi mo na pinapatunan lahat ng mga bagay-bagay. Paboran mo na lang mo. Okay? Next, Later maturity, 61 and over, adjusting to decreasing strength and health. It's about health, madalas, pag old age. Adjusting to retirement and reduced income. So, nakalungkot yata itang reduced income. Yun yung pinaka-nakalulungkot sa lahat. Reduced income kasi umaasa ka na lang sa pension mo. O kaya, mag-ipon na mag-ipon. That's the point for you to be stable in the future. Adjusting to death of spouse. Siguro na. Wala pang MMK ng late maturity. Yung mga lahat ng mga pagsubok sa buhay nandito na. Establishing relations with one's own age group. Ayan. Na mapapansin niyo yung mga lolo at lola, enjoy na enjoy sila sa mga ballroom na